So my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin at 118,700 US dollars. Bitcoin is taking a little break, but that's exactly what we discussed yesterday. You can see here, this was our plan yesterday, to see a smaller retest first, especially since we went up over the weekend. Mondays, or rather Monday nights, usually aren't a very good sign, which means that things tend to continue like that over the following days. That's also why we saw that little dip yesterday. Also, we'll take a closer look at the daily time frame in a moment. Of course, we'll also look at the altcoins and at a very, very important event, which in my opinion could determine how things go for the rest of the week. But before we get started, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course feel free to join the free Telegram news and signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, feel free to join. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we discuss here, Bitcoin, all the altcoins, and even some stocks, you can do all of that on my partner exchange, BingX. The link for that is also down in the video description. Plus, by doing so, you support the channel, or me, to be precise. And right now, there's still a deposit promotion where you can secure up to 10% cash back on your first deposit. And if you're already a customer, you'll receive bonus vouchers. So just sign up using the link below. Alright, let's get started now. As I said, Bitcoin is currently at 118,700 US dollars. Yesterday, we talked about the possibility that we might have reached the wave 3 target here. The 2.4014 level was tracked here. We just missed the 2.618 level up here at 122,800 US dollars, but that's not a problem. The target was basically reached. A pullback would be quite good now. That was the situation yesterday. And that's exactly how it ended up happening. The daily candle wasn't really bullish, I have to say at this point. We closed below the golden pocket. We especially closed below the recent highs here, so not really a positive sign at this point either. But, as I said, we still have some room to the downside, which means we're still in the area of around 117 to 300 or 117 to 200. The SMA, that's the purple line here, or even down to 116,000 US dollars. So this entire red box is basically the area that we formed over the weekend. CME gap, there's a lot of liquidity here. We could still tap into that again before making a new attempt toward the all-time high. So this is definitely the zone you should keep an eye on. But, and here's the big but, today the CPI data is also coming out and I wouldn't underestimate it. We already have data indicating that the CPI numbers are expected to rise. The core rate from 2.9 to 3.0. The core rate on a monthly basis is also up by 0.1%. Then the general CPI data from 2.7 to 2.8. Of course, this truflation, which everyone always refers to, is at something like 1.7 or so, but somehow that doesn't seem to work. That's why I don't even consider that, but instead I prefer to really focus on the current CPI data. So please keep an eye on 2:30 p.m. In my opinion, that could lead to some big surprises today. If the data is absolutely positive, if the CPI data comes in below expectations, we'll probably shoot straight up, just like in the stock markets with the altcoins and so on. You know what I'm getting at. If the data is terrible, then definitely keep an eye on the area around 116,000 US dollars. Otherwise, we'll have to look a bit deeper on the daily time frame and then, wait, I need to pull up the chart here. Then, it's possible that this area around 110,000 US dollars could come back into play. So, just keep an eye on that for now. The data comes out at 2:30 p.m., so make sure to secure your positions above all. It's also really important that you don't open any exaggerated long positions or excessive short positions right now. So, not much has changed since yesterday. Lastly, just a quick look at the funding rates. They're absolutely normal, just like yesterday. The heat map also suggests that on a weekly basis, there's nothing left to gain on the upside. It also points to this area around 110 to 111,000 US dollars. Just a quick reminder, down here is the vector candle, plus we have a solid red box here. So if this zone doesn't hold, I suspect we'll drop down another level. That would ultimately be, just to draw it out completely, this area here and then this stage. So 2 possible long orders with, I hope for myself personally, long positions down here in this area between 112 and 109,000 US dollars. Up here, of course, if the numbers are positive, we'll see at most this area and then it'll shoot off. So let's move over to the altcoins. What's happening there? Ethereum is holding up incredibly well, I have to say at this point. We're still trading here at 4,290. So the Bitcoin dip doesn't mean anything at all for Ethereum. Ethereum is consolidating. That's a positive sign. The volume is still very strong. If we compare that a bit or just draw a rough line, That was the average down here the whole time, and even now we've almost reached today's volume and the day has just started. So a positive sign for Ethereum at the moment. I really, really like that at this point. So overall, still basically bullish. The targets, as I said, we've already discussed 100,000 times now. 1272, $5,400 to $6,000 would be the most bullish scenario in my opinion. In the short term, I'm sticking with $4,400 to $4,500. But here as well, if the numbers turn out badly this afternoon, then we'll probably see a pullback here first, down to around the $3,800 area. That means I could easily imagine a pullback here, this leg down, only to be bought up again right away, which would be a positive sign for altcoins, of course, not just for Ethereum, but for the entire altcoin market, because the money could eventually flow into other assets. Solana, after we reached our target zone, which we talked about yesterday, experienced this sell-off. The target level was up here between about $181 and just under $188. So we entered the golden pocket. A counter reaction has taken place. Currently, there's support at the 200 SMA. So actually, it doesn't look all that bad at the moment, but I'd still be cautious with longs. If we apply our trend fib here from our entry area down here, we can see that we've reached the 1.414. The 1.618 was narrowly missed, but well, what hasn't happened yet can still happen. At the moment, as I said, we're in a bit of a consolidation here. The upward movement is definitely still intact, or rather, yes, definitely still complete. I simply wouldn't do anything at the moment. XRP, just for the sake of completeness. There will be another video on Friday, but still, we've now reached my long area down here. The 1.14 was reached. We also have a 3-part downward movement here now. That means we're now completely in an area where you could consider going long again or placing long orders. Also, for the sake of completeness, please pay attention to 2:30 p.m. and how the data looks. If you really want to get in here, enter the trade cautiously and maybe place another order lower, just so that both might get triggered and you can then see the trend reversal. But XRP definitely now has the opportunity here to at least initiate a trend reversal. Let's move on to the traditional markets. How are things looking there? I'd say let's start with the euro. The euro took a bit of a dive, but as I said, we're still generally in the short area. I suspect, let's assume the data should be positive today. That means if the CPI data is positive, the euro will probably make this move downward more pronounced. At the same time, gold was just barely missed. But I wrote about it in the Telegram group yesterday. I'm long on gold now, so I'm definitely long there. If we take a closer look right here, not even precisely one whole dollar missed our intended order. That's precisely why I promptly jumped in right after it, and now everything is perfectly fine. The 200 SMA ran through here. All good. Just wanted to let you know, I'm definitely long here. If the data turns out positive, I also expect gold to shoot up, of course. That means euro down, gold down if the numbers are positive, and the rest will also drop completely. And by that I mean stocks and of course crypto as well. Let's move over to stocks. There's actually very, very little happening there. DAX is making lower highs. Pretty much the same situation as with Bitcoin at the moment, so not really interesting. Nasdaq is still in consolidation. Dow Jones, yeah, is holding up after reaching the short area here. It's stabilized a bit for now, so nothing really dramatic either. S&P 500 has climbed above the golden pocket, even above the 0.786 level. So what does that mean? In the end, secure your positions today. Take profits if you're way in the green anywhere, even with any altcoin trades. Our trades are still running, so our entries were good. Still, take profits, secure your positions, but don't necessarily go short everywhere right now. The opportunity may have been yesterday with Bitcoin, but as I said, I'm currently reluctant to go short. What else was I going to say? Right, definitely keep an eye on the Bitcoin zone. Securing altcoins is absolutely essential at the moment. The data comes out at 2:30 p.m. I'll of course try to bring you those updates right away, and then we'll see what else happens. And tonight at 7 p.m. we'll definitely be live again. Live at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. Feel free to join in with your altcoin requests. We'll take a look at Bitcoin and we'll check out the numbers. So everything's happening today. The day is packed full. Be sure to join us. I'll post the link for you later in the Telegram group, and otherwise, I'd say that's it from my side. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you this evening at exactly 7 p.m. on YouTube, and that's it from me. Until then, ciao ciao, and as always, stay crypto.